Hello everyone. Today we're going to walk through the EERO Wi-Fi app and the features and functions that it offers.
Okay everyone, so let's go ahead and launch the EERO app. Now this is actually my network. I set this up and I haven't been using it for very long, and I will do a review of the EERO product probably in about a year's time. But what I aim to do today is look at the EERO app. This is where you're going to do all the configuration for your Wi-Fi. This is where you're going to check the status of things. This is your window into your Wi-Fi when you have the EERO product. So we're going to start out here. We can see at the top is my SSID. We can see the status of my Wi-Fi network is online. And then we have a bunch of stuff below that. So we're going to start out with internet. If I tap on this, I can see the status of my internet connection. Right now it says it's online. Below that, I can see my speed test. Now periodically the EERO will run a speed test to check the speed of your internet. And here we can see I have Xfinity. So here we can see I'm getting about 894 down and 17 up. And I can see when that speed test was run. I can also manually run a speed test anytime by tapping the button down here. So let's go back. And next I'm going to have both my gateway and I have one extender. This is actually another EERO 6 router. It's not the extender, but the only difference really is that the router has some Ethernet ports on it and the extender does not. So if you have, let's say you have 3 extenders, you're going to see all those listed down here. Now in my case, I actually have the Ring Alarm Pro. That's my gateway. So I'm going to tap on this really quickly. Now I can see my wired internet. It shows as online. If I tap on that, that takes me back to the internet area. And since I have the Ring Alarm Pro and the Pro subscription, I have cellular backup internet. So if my wired internet goes down, which sometimes it does, then I go to cellular backup. So we tap on this. Okay, and we can see this here. Now, if you're just using the EERO product, you're not going to have this cellular backup internet option. I can see my wired data rate, and I can view the devices that are connected to this particular gateway. Now down below, I can do a couple different things. I can specify the location of this device. I can turn the LED light off. In some scenarios, the LED may be bothersome and you may want to turn that off. You can do that here. I can see the IP address. This is my gateway, so my IP address here is .1 and it's 192 address. And then I have my IPv6 information. Next I have software. And we can see the software is up to date, and then we can view the update history. Okay. Next we have advanced, and under advanced I have all the hardware addresses, the serial number, and the model number of this device. I can restart only this device, or I can remove this device from my EERO setup. And if I go to my extender, which is in my upstairs hallway, I'm going to have some similar options. I can see the connection. I can see the number of devices that are connected to this particular device. Location, LED light, IP address, software version, and then advanced, I'm going to have the same thing. So next we have profiles. Now the nice thing about profiles is you can group devices into a profile and do different things with them. For example, if you have children in the home, you can set up a profile by tapping the plus up here, and we can say add profile. And this is going to tell you some of the things the profile can do. You can schedule pauses. So, for example, if you want the kids to have downtime when it's dinner time or bedtime, you can schedule pauses. You can filter content. Now you will need a subscription to do the content filtering. And you can also track device data usage over time. Okay, so I say continue. And here we can see that I can specify a profile name, and then I can go through and select devices to group into that profile. So I'm not going to create that now, but that's basically what profiles do. Next, I'm going to have my list of devices. This is going to show me all of the devices that are connected to my Wi-Fi. And I can select the device to get more information about it. For example, let's say I want to look at my Google Home. And I can tap here and I can add it to a profile. I can view the connection, whether it's 5 gigahertz, in this case that's what it is. If it were 2.4, I could see that here. I can see which access point it's connected to. I can see the security level, the activity. And the nice thing about this is I can look at, now I haven't had this set up for very long, but I could look at 1 month, I could look at a week, or I could look at by the day. It's going to show me how much data this device downloaded and uploaded. This information, folks, is very useful if you have a data cap on your internet. Now, a lot of internet providers have been introducing data caps. I know Xfinity is in the process of introducing that, and I believe it's 1 terabyte. And so if you're streaming a lot of video and doing a lot of Zoom and that kind of thing, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you're going to get to that 1 terabyte cap. Now, one of the nice things about this is if you have devices that are using a large amount of bandwidth, you can see that here in the EERO app. You can see which devices are using it, and then you can take action to reduce the data usage on those devices. So very useful. Now, because we have the cellular backup internet, we can also choose whether or not we want to allow this device to use the backup internet when the primary wired internet goes down. This is important because the backup LTE internet does have a data cap on it, and you do pay for any data that you use that's in excess of that cap. I believe right now it's $3 per gigabyte. So you may not want to have all your devices using the backup internet if the primary internet goes down. Here you can choose whether or not you want this device to be able to do that. So it's nice. Then we have the type of device, and we can choose what type of device this is. Okay, and we can see the manufacturer, the host name, the IP address. If I go in here, it gives me that information. The MAC address, and we can also block that device. So if somehow somebody's device is on your network, you don't know how it got there, you can block it. Now, if you do have devices that are showing up on your network and you don't know how they got there, that may be a signal that you need to have a more secure password on your Wi-Fi. So you don't want to use this if that's a recurring problem. but it's nice to have the ability nonetheless. And up here in the upper right hand corner, we can also pause this device individually as well. Let's go back. Now, also in the device list, we're going to see indicators to indicate whether the device is wired or wireless. And at the bottom, we can also see all the devices that are offline but were recently online. Okay. So next we're going to tap on activity. And this is where we can see the activity for the Wi-Fi. Now when we come in here, it's going to show us the current week and it's going to give us the dates. Okay, so right now we're December 5th through December 9th. It looks like we've downloaded a total of 25.9 gigabyte and we've uploaded a total of 2.5 gigabyte. And then this is the fastest upload rate that we've received and the fastest download rate that we received. And if we go to the top and we say show more activity, we can also look at other types of activity. For example, if you have ad blocking, content filtering, threat blocks, or scans, you can see that activity in here as well. And we'll get into that functionality in a moment. Next we have Discover. And in here we're going to see we have some different things. I have the EERO Labs enabled. And there are 3 settings in here that I have enabled that are currently in beta. Okay, and I have them enabled, but they will be disabled by default. So we have here WPA3, we have gaming and conferencing optimization, and we have local DNS caching. And then we have the Amazon Connected Home with frustration-free setup, voice assistant, and smart home hub. So the EERO device, the EERO 6 device, has the built-in Zigbee smart home hub. So in the EERO Secure, we have some additional features. We also have a subscription service called Secure Plus, and this includes some additional features. We have dynamic DNS, password manager, VPN, and Malwarebytes antivirus. Okay. Then we also have some things that we can toggle on, such as advanced security. This is going to be for malicious content, viruses, botnets, phishing sites, and so on. Ad blocking. Okay, it's going to prevent ads from appearing. We have parental controls. We can block content and we can block apps. And then we also have where we can block websites. This is going to be similar to something you're probably familiar with, like a whitelist and a blacklist. A whitelist would be sites that are allowed, and then a blacklist would be sites that are blocked. So that's EERO Secure. The last area we're going to take a look at is our settings. And this is pretty basic. You have your Amazon account. The EERO device is tied to my Amazon account. Then I have the SSID of my Wi-Fi, my password, and I have my guest network on, and I'll take you into that in a moment. My guest network is going to have a separate SSID and password. Now, a guest network is a little bit different from your main Wi-Fi, and the guest network is very good to make use of because the guest network is going to have access to your internet, but it will not have access to other devices on your Wi-Fi. For example, if you have streaming devices or other mobile devices, guests do not have access to communicate to other devices on the Wi-Fi network. They can only communicate to the router to access the internet. So anytime you have a guest, you definitely want to have them use your guest network. The other nice thing you can do is you can share the details of your guest Wi-Fi, and you can also send a QR code. So they can just open their camera app, scan the QR code, and get onto your guest Wi-Fi. We have network settings. And if we go into our network settings, it's going to tell us our WAN address, the IP address of the gateway. We can toggle IPv6 on or off. If we go into ISP settings, we can change the WAN type. Now currently we have DHCP. If you have a static IP, you can set that here. Okay. DHCP and NAT. Pretty much everyone is going to use automatic. If you're not using the EERO as a router, you can put it in bridge mode. But I think 99% of users are going to have this on automatic. Next we have reservations and port forwarding. Now a reservation is going to make sure that the specified device always obtains the same IP address from the DHCP server. Now in my case I have 2 printers here, and that's useful for a printer because I need to print to it from other devices, and it's good to have it always at the same address. That way the other devices have no problem finding it. It's always at the same address. They always know where to go with the print job. And there's other reasons if you're running servers and so on. So that's what the reservation is going to do. We can also do port forwarding, and that will allow traffic coming from the internet on a specific port to reach your device. So for example, if I wanted to forward traffic coming in on port 80 to my printer, I would go into here and I would say open a port, and I would give it a name. I can specify a port or a range of ports, and I can specify whether I want this to be TCP and UDP or TCP or UDP only. I can also specify a different range for the internal port. So for example, if I wanted it to come in on port 80 from the internet, but then be directed to a different port on the local device, I would select that here and I could do that here. So some good features there. Ability to reserve IP addresses and forward ports. The next thing we have is DNS. Now, pretty much everybody is going to use the DNS from their ISP, and this is the default. You can also choose a custom DNS. So if you have a local DNS server on your network, or if you want to use a different DNS server, like for example, Google's DNS, you can enter that in here. It will need to reboot the EERO to apply the changes. Next we have dynamic DNS. If I go in here, we can see that we need to have a Secure Plus subscription in order to access this feature. This is useful if you have services or devices that you need to access from the internet that are on your home network. Most residential internet have a dynamic IP address, so the IP address changes. So you can't use the IP address to connect to your devices from the internet. Dynamic DNS gets around that by using a host name that's updated anytime your internet WAN IP address changes. So you may find that feature useful. One complaint I do have is that it has to have a subscription to use. Next we have universal plug and play. In most cases you'll want to leave this on. It can increase your security a little bit if you turn it off. And it does exactly what it says. Game consoles and media centers, it allows them to open ports and redirect connections to other devices on the internet automatically. And of course we have our time zone. We have client steering. And this, you're probably always going to want to leave this on. This allows the EERO to automatically send clients or steer clients to the Wi-Fi device that's going to give them the optimal performance. So if you have 2 or 3 or 4 EERO devices around your home, this is going to allow the EERO software to direct your devices to the appropriate access point that's going to give them the optimal performance on your Wi-Fi. So you probably want to leave this on. Next we have Thread. Secure way to connect to smart home devices. By default this is disabled, and you should probably leave it that way unless you have a reason to enable it. And then we can restart the network. This is going to restart the gateway and all of the extenders that you have in your network. And then of course we can delete the network. Next we have software updates. And you notice we could do this per device, but in this area we can actually update the software across the entire EERO network. So it's going to update your gateway and all of your extenders. We have notifications. And I really like this feature. It notifies you on your mobile device anytime a new device connects to your Wi-Fi. And by default, when you turn this on, it's only going to show you unrecognized devices. But you can also set it to all new devices. And then we have data usage activity and software updates. Okay? And these are just notifications from the app. Lastly, let's go into troubleshooting. Now, there's a couple different things in here that you can troubleshoot. But I'll tell you the most useful thing to troubleshoot in here is connecting older devices, 2.4 gigahertz devices specifically. Since the EERO uses one SSID for both the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz network, older devices can have a problem with this. They'll be unable to establish a connection to the EERO. If that happens, you can come in here and say my device will not connect, and you can say my device is 2.4 gigahertz only, and you can temporarily pause the 5 gigahertz band. What this will allow you to do is get the device connected and registered, and once you do that you can re-enable the 5 gigahertz, and in most cases that's going to work around that problem and allow that device to work. And the last thing we have down here, folks, is the legal stuff. I'm not really going to get into that. You have your warranty, privacy policy, so on and so forth. And you can add a network from here as well. Folks, I'm happy with the EERO overall. Now we'll have to see how it performs over the next year or so, and then I'll be back to give you an update on how it worked out for me. But what I see right now in the past couple of days, product works very well, and the software is very easy. The idea behind the EERO and the Google Home and those type of devices is to make it as easy as possible to manage your Wi-Fi and to connect your devices. Now these are not going to have advanced networking features that you'll get from some other products like Ubiquiti or some of those enterprise class devices. But that's not what these devices are designed for. They're designed for the home user, and they're designed to be as easy as possible to set up and to maintain. And in that regard, EERO and the Google Home, for that matter, both do an excellent job. Folks, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps others find quality content on YouTube, and we really appreciate it. Click on subscribe, and then click the bell to get notified anytime new content is added. As always, your comments, questions, and suggestions are welcome below, and we thank you very much for watching.